Number 1. Yoni Barrios. Yoni Barrios is a man serving life in prison for one of the most shocking attacks in recent Las Vegas history. On October 6, 2022, Barrios carried out a sudden stabbing spree on the busy Las Vegas Strip. The attack left 2 people dead and 6 others seriously injured. Because of the nature of the crime, Barrios will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Barrios arrived in Las Vegas only 2 days before the attack, hoping to find work and somewhere to stay. He was frustrated, tired, and felt ignored by everyone around him. Earlier that day, he even asked a janitor inside the Wynn Hotel to call immigration so he could be sent back to Guatemala. Witnesses said he looked lost and desperate, as if he had nowhere left to go. Not long after leaving the hotel, Barrios approached a group of women dressed as showgirl performers. He told them he was a chef and asked to take a photo with his large kitchen knife. The women became uneasy and stepped away. Barrios believed they were laughing at him, and in that moment, something inside him snapped. He suddenly rushed toward them and began stabbing. One of the women, 30-year-old Maris Di Giovanni, died from her injuries. Others were left bleeding and screaming for help. Barrios then ran down the strip, stabbing random people he passed on the sidewalk. 47-year-old Brent Hallett was murdered while walking with his wife. 6 more people were wounded as the chaos spread across the boulevard. Meanwhile, witnesses were calling 911 and following him from a safe distance, giving police updates as he fled. Barrios turned onto Sands Avenue, threw the bloody knife into a patch of bushes, and ran inside the Venetian Expo Convention Center. Finally, exhausted and surrounded, he dropped to his knees. Security guards and police officers moved in quickly and took him into custody. After his arrest, Barrios was ruled mentally unfit for trial and spent almost 2 years in a psychiatric hospital. By late 2024, doctors confirmed he was finally well enough to face the charges. In January 2025, Barrios accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. He pleaded guilty but mentally ill to 15 different counts, including murder with the use of a deadly weapon, attempted murder, and an act of terrorism. 3 months later, in April 2025, Judge Tierra Jones of Clark County District Court handed down the final decision. Barrios was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences with no chance of parole. Consecutive means one must be served after the other. So even if he finished the first life sentence, he would still have another lifetime of prison left to serve. Number 2. Mehmet and Fatih Aydin. Mehmet Aydin, also known as Tosunkuk, and his younger brother Fatih Aydin became infamous for running one of the largest online scams in history. The brothers created Çiftlik Bank, or Farm Bank, a game that promised huge returns for players who bought virtual farm animals and crops. Launched in 2016 in Turkey, the game was similar to Farmville, but with a dark twist. It was a Ponzi scheme that defrauded tens of thousands of people out of millions of dollars. Players were told their virtual farms would generate real-world profits. But in reality, the money flowed only to the Aydin brothers. By early 2018, the scheme collapsed, leaving over 130,000 victims with massive financial losses totaling roughly 511 million Turkish liras, or around $14 million. Many people had invested life savings or even taken loans, and the emotional toll was devastating. Some victims faced severe stress, anxiety, and social isolation, while one man tragically hurt himself severely after losing borrowed money. After the collapse, Mehmet Aydin fled to South America. He was on the run for years before surrendering to Turkish authorities in Brazil in 2021. Fatih Aydin was arrested in Uruguay in July of the same year. Turkish law allows courts to assign a separate sentence for each victim, which is why the brothers' punishment was extraordinary. In February 2025, both Mehmet and Fatih were convicted of multiple crimes, including establishing a criminal organization, committing fraud through banking systems, and laundering the stolen money. They received a combined sentence of 45,376 years and 6 months each, a record-breaking punishment that reflects the massive scale of the crime and the number of victims involved. The scale of the sentence is almost unimaginable. Even with modern prisons, there is no human lifetime long enough to serve it. The verdict sent a strong message about the consequences of financial crimes and the severe impact of betrayal on innocent lives. Mehmet Aydin, 33, and his brother Fatih, 29, will spend every remaining day of their lives in prison, their freedom taken away forever. Even if they somehow lived and returned 5 separate times, the court's judgment ensures they will never see freedom again, and their victims' losses, pain, and anger remain a permanent part of their legacy. Number 3. Colin Ferguson. 1993 became a year of horror on December 7th, when 48-year-old Colin Ferguson turned a routine train ride into a nightmare. On that day, a crowded Long Island Railroad train in New York became the scene of one of the deadliest attacks on a commuter train in American history. 6 people were murdered, and 19 others were injured. Ferguson was born in Jamaica and later moved to the United States. He had a troubled life, often blaming racial discrimination for his failures. He struggled to hold a job and battled mental health problems. Police later found notes in his pockets showing that he had been planning something violent. He had carefully chosen Nassau County for the attack and even avoided New York City out of respect for the city's black mayor. That evening, Ferguson boarded the 5:33 p.m. train from Penn Station. He carried a semi-automatic pistol and more than 100 rounds of ammunition. As the train stopped at Maryland Avenue Station in Garden City, Ferguson began shooting. Passengers screamed and ducked for cover. He walked down the narrow aisle, firing at people sitting nearby. The sound of gunfire echoed through the car, glass shattered, and bodies fell as chaos erupted. 5 people were murdered immediately, and a 6th passed away 5 days later. Some passengers were badly wounded, others were bleeding, terrified, and trapped in the chaos. A few brave passengers tackled Ferguson as he tried to reload his firearm. One off-duty LIRR police officer, Andrew Roderick, quickly handcuffed him. Ferguson reportedly muttered, "Oh God, what did I do? What did I do? I deserve whatever I get," showing a brief moment of realization before being taken away. Ferguson's trial in January and February 1995 was watched by the nation. He chose to represent himself, rejecting the black rage defense his lawyers had prepared. In court, he questioned his own victims and even asked for the president and governor to testify for him. Despite his strange courtroom behavior, the evidence was clear. On February 17, 1995, he was found guilty of 6 counts of murder and multiple counts of attempted murder and assault. In February 1995, Ferguson was sentenced to 315 years and 8 months to life in prison. He is now locked away at the Mid-State Correctional Facility in Marcy, New York. Colin Ferguson will spend the rest of his life in prison. Even if he lived and returned 5 times, the law ensures he will never walk free again, a permanent reminder of the lives destroyed in just a few terrifying minutes on a train. Number 4. Chauncey Price. Chauncey Price was a man who ruled through fear and control. He coerced women and girls into trafficking, using threats, violence, and manipulation to keep them trapped. One victim recalled Price threatening to murder her sister if she did not obey. Another went 3 days without food while living under his control. His victims were subjected to abuse and exploitation. Their every move watched, their fear used as a weapon to ensure obedience. Price did not stop at trafficking. He ran a forgery and fraud operation, producing counterfeit money and using his victims to pass it at businesses across Colorado. He and his associates also committed credit card fraud, exploiting those he had already broken to expand his criminal enterprise. Law enforcement began uncovering Price's operation in January 2017. Investigators from the Lone Tree Police Department, assisted by the FBI and the U.S. Secret Service, discovered the full scale of his crimes. When arrested, Price and his co-conspirators were charged with multiple counts of trafficking, pimping, and forgery. During the trial, 3 of his victims gave shocking testimony, describing the endless abuse, threats, and manipulation they endured. They told the jury how Price exploited young girls, controlled them, and manipulated them. revealing the complete nightmare he had created. In December 2019, a Douglas County jury found Price guilty on 13 counts, including trafficking for street work and multiple counts of forgery. On October 8, 2020, Douglas County District Judge Teresa Slade sentenced him to 304 years to life in prison, one of the longest sentences ever given for trafficking in Colorado. Judge Slade said Price's crimes were extraordinary, leaving no room for a minimal sentence. Chauncey Price is now incarcerated at the Arkansas Valley Correctional Facility in Ordway, Colorado. Even if he lived and returned 5 times, the law guarantees he will never walk free again, a permanent reminder of the lives he shattered. Number 5. Brendan O'Rourke. In October 2010, Brendan O'Rourke carried out a horrifying attack at Kelly Elementary School in Carlsbad, California. Around noon, during recess on the school playground, 230 children were present when O'Rourke jumped a fence carrying a loaded .357 Magnum, extra ammunition, a gas can, and matches. He opened fire into the crowd, aiming indiscriminately. 2 second-grade girls, aged 6 and 7, were shot in the arm and injured. Thankfully, both survived and have since recovered. The attack was stopped when 3 construction workers, who were at the school rebuilding a cafeteria kitchen, tackled O'Rourke to the ground before he could reload. Their quick action prevented further tragedy. O'Rourke's motive was tied to severe mental illness and personal anger. He suffered from delusions and believed his former employer, AIG Insurance, and various politicians were conspiring against him. He thought he was being tracked, even claiming the government put satellites in his head. At the time of the attack, he reportedly believed he was aiming at a tank or visions, not the children themselves, claiming his actions were self-defense. Despite his defense team arguing that he was legally insane, a jury determined that O'Rourke was legally sane when he committed the crime. Prosecutors described him as a cold and calculated murderer, motivated by personal failures, including being recently evicted and feeling rejected by women. O'Rourke was convicted of 7 counts of premeditated attempted murder and 7 counts of assault with a firearm. On April 20, 2012, Vista Superior Court Judge Aaron Katz sentenced him to 189 years to life in prison. The sentence included 99 years to life for the main charges and an additional 90 years for firearm-related enhancements. The maximum sentence ensured O'Rourke would never have the opportunity to harm anyone again. Brendan O'Rourke is currently incarcerated at the California Institution for Men in Chino, California. His sentence guarantees he will never walk free again, a permanent reminder of the terror he inflicted on the children and staff that day. Before we continue, do you think this punishment was fair or too extreme? Comment fair or unfair. Number 6. Donald Linville. In 2017, Donald Linville was sentenced to 121 years and 3 months to life in prison for multiple counts of assault and unlawful recording. He was convicted in Phoenix, Arizona, for secretly filming intimate encounters with women and young individuals. Linville, a former Marine, was arrested after authorities discovered numerous videos and photos showing him secretly recording women. The investigation began when police seized his computers as part of a probe into him secretly filming a female neighbor's home using a hidden camera on her balcony. Forensic analysis revealed that Linville had filmed intimate acts with multiple women who were unaware they were being recorded, and one of the victims was a young. Maricopa County Attorney Bill Montgomery stated that the sentence reflected the severity of the crimes and the number of victims involved, including women violated by someone they trusted and young children. Linville is currently serving his sentence at the Arizona State Prison Complex in Florence, Arizona. The police caught Linville after his neighbor discovered a hidden camera on her balcony in October 2012. The camera had recorded 2 videos inside her apartment. She immediately contacted authorities and handed over the device. Police later arranged a recorded phone call in which Linville admitted the camera was his and asked her to delete its contents. Law enforcement then examined the camera's memory card and found a deleted video showing Linville engaging in the acts. Based on this evidence, police obtained search warrants for his apartment and seized his desktop and laptop computers. A forensic analysis of the devices revealed numerous videos and photos showing Linville secretly recording women, which led to his conviction. Number 7. Matthew Tyler Miller. In October 2020, Matthew Tyler Miller was sentenced to 600 years in federal prison for assaulting 2 young individuals, a sentence that effectively ensures he will spend the rest of his natural life behind bars. Miller had pleaded guilty in October 2019 to multiple charges. The indictment stated that he had enticed the victims to engage in explicit conduct to create visual productions of the abuse. The victims were young when the assault occurred, which spanned from 2014 to February 2019. Law enforcement's examination of Miller's electronic devices revealed 102 explicit images that he had produced of the individuals, providing critical evidence for his conviction. At the time of his federal sentencing, Miller also faced state assault charges in Tuscaloosa County, Alabama. The U.S. District Judge Scott Kugler imposed the 600-year sentence, emphasizing that it ensures Miller will remain incarcerated for the rest of his life. Miller is now serving his sentence in federal prison, a permanent reminder of the heinous nature of his crimes and the justice that was served. Number 8. Stephen Howell. Stephen M. Howells II was sentenced in December 2015 to 580 years in federal prison for the assault of 6 girls, including the kidnapping of 2 Amish sisters from a roadside stand in upstate New York in August 2014. Howells, a registered nurse who used his job to obtain hard substances to subdue the victims, pleaded guilty to all 21 federal charges. His girlfriend and accomplice, Nicole F. Vasey, was sentenced to 300 years in prison for her role in the crimes. Both sentences represented the maximum penalties under federal law. A federal judge described Howells as the nightmare that never goes away for children. The 6 victims were intoxicated, assaulted, and recorded during intimate moments. The 2 Amish sisters, aged 7 and 12, were abducted from their family's farm stand and held captive for over 24 hours before being released. In May 2015, Howells pleaded guilty to all the charges. In January 2016, both Howells and Vasey received 25-year state sentences for kidnapping, which run concurrently with their federal sentences. Howells's public defender filed an appeal shortly after sentencing. The investigation relied heavily on information provided by the victims, along with extensive police work and community tips. After nearly 24 hours in captivity, likely nervous due to media coverage and a large police presence, the couple abandoned the girls in an isolated area about 12 miles from where they had been held. The girls walked until they found a nearby house, where the residents, aware of the Amber Alert and news reports, contacted authorities. The older sister provided crucial details about their captors and the location of the house, which guided investigators to Howells and Vasey's home in Hermon, New York. The couple was arrested on August 15, 2014, after being interviewed at the St. Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. A search of their home and electronic devices uncovered recordings of the assault and a large volume of illicit, leading to additional federal charges. Authorities emphasized that the strength and accuracy of the girls' memories were key to the swift arrests. Number 9. Christopher Bennett. In July 2003, 18-year-old Christopher Bennett broke into the home of his mother's boyfriend, Vincent McDorman, in Craigsville, Virginia, and shot him, resulting in McDorman's death. Bennett and his family have consistently claimed that he acted to protect his half-sister, Victoria, whom he allegedly caught McDorman assaulting at the time. It was also reported that McDorman had previously abused Bennett and his other sisters, and that authorities and child protective services had been notified multiple times without taking meaningful action. Bennett was charged with capital murder, robbery, and breaking. To avoid the death penalty, he accepted a plea deal, receiving 3 consecutive life sentences, each counted as 600 years under Virginia law at the time, totaling 1,800 years in prison. Reports indicate that Bennett signed the plea deal before a psychological evaluation was conducted, which later concluded that he experienced a mental break due to witnessing the abuse. Bennett's family and supporters have consistently advocated for his release, portraying him as a hero who saved his sisters from a dangerous abuser. His sister, Victoria McDorman, has publicly shared her story of abuse and joined the campaign to free her brother. Rallies have been held, and a petition on change.org has gathered over 150,000 signatures in support of clemency. The case has received national attention, including a feature on The Doctor, Phil show, highlighting the circumstances surrounding Bennett's actions and the ongoing fight for his release. Bennett remains in prison, serving his 1,800-year sentence, a term that ensures he will spend the rest of his life behind bars, even as supporters continue to advocate on his behalf. Number 10. Ronald Yarber. In April 2017, Ronald C. Yarber was sentenced to 1,652 years in prison after being convicted of more than 200 felony charges of assault involving a single developmentally disabled victim. The crimes occurred over a period of years in Saline County, Illinois. The victim, a developmentally disabled girl, lived with Yarber and his wife, her aunt, from the age of 7. The abuse began when she was around 12 and continued for about 5 years, although she lived in the home for roughly 12 years in total. Yarber, acting as a foster father, was found guilty by a jury in July 2016 of 254 counts of criminal assault and predatory criminal assault of a young individual. Under Illinois law, the sentences for these specific crimes were required to be served consecutively rather than concurrently. Each conviction carried a mandatory minimum sentence, which resulted in the staggering total of 1,652 years. The victim delayed reporting the abuse because Yarber had told her that no one would believe her due to her mental disability. She eventually came forward in November 2015, fearing that 2 younger adopted sisters living in the home might also become victims. She first disclosed the abuse to her preacher's wife, then to her grandfather and stepmother, and later gave a recorded interview to a counselor at the Guardian Center, a child advocacy center. Law enforcement was then notified, leading to a formal investigation. Yarber was arrested in November 2015 and held on a $250,000 bond at the Saline County Jail in Harrisburg, Illinois. Following his conviction at a 3-day jury trial, he received the 1,652-year sentence in April 2017. Yarber is now serving his sentence, which ensures he will spend the rest of his life in prison, a permanent reminder of the horrific crimes he committed and the suffering he inflicted on his victim. Number 11. Patricia Ayers. The case began with a phone call to Alabama authorities in December 2012. A friend of Patricia and Matthew Ayers reported receiving disturbing digital pictures of a child from Patricia. Deputies from the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office served a search warrant at the couple's home in Florence. They seized computers, phones, cameras, and storage devices. Patricia Ayers was arrested first. She initially claimed the explicit photos were meant to document a rash condition. On the seized devices, investigators found thousands of other explicit images. Among them were pictures of Matthew Ayers abusing the individual. He was then arrested as well. In early 2013, local authorities asked the FBI for help. Agents from the FBI's Florence office opened a federal investigation. They served another search warrant to document items seen in the images. They also searched the previous home of the couple with the consent of the new owners. There, they identified the same wallpaper visible in the background of many photographs. The digital evidence was vast. An FBI computer forensic expert reviewed everything. FBI analysts scrutinized each image for clues about when, where, and what was happening. Their work confirmed the abuse had started at a very young time and lasted for roughly 3 years. The investigation also revealed Patricia Ayers had connections to other predators. An FBI agent in Dallas, working a separate case, found her name in an automated records search. In May 2014, a federal grand jury indicted Matthew and Patricia Ayers. They later pleaded guilty. Throughout the process, specialists from the FBI's Office for Victim Assistance were involved. They used careful, forensic interview techniques to talk with the victim without causing further trauma. A victim specialist from the FBI's Birmingham office supported the victim from the beginning of the case through sentencing and beyond, providing counseling and community resources. The child is now in the care of family members. At sentencing, the federal judge told the couple, "I have been on the bench since 1998, and this is the worst case I have personally dealt with." He said they had robbed the victim of her childhood and her soul. He sentenced them to a collective 2,340 years in prison. Patricia Ayers received 1,590 years. Matthew Ayers received 750 years. The sentence ensured they would never be free again. Number 12. Paul Edward Acton Bowen. For years, Paul Edward Acton Bowen stood as a respected pillar of the Christian community in Alabama. A published author, founder of a non-profit ministry, and even a chaplain for an Olympic outreach event, he used his position as a youth minister and evangelist to build a facade of trust. Behind this mask, he was a predator. His crimes targeted teenage boys, at least 6 victims between the ages of 12 and 17, whom he systematically groomed and assaulted over many years. The long-concealed truth began to unravel in April 2018, when one brave victim reported the abuse to the Hoover Police Department. This act of courage ignited an investigation that spread across county and state lines. As authorities delved deeper, more victims in Etowah County, Jefferson County, and even Bay County, Florida, found the strength to come forward. Bowen was arrested on April 10, 2018, and the case against him grew to encompass 28 separate counts of assault in Etowah County alone. Facing the overwhelming evidence, Bowen pleaded guilty. In December 2019, an Etowah County judge delivered a sentence designed to ensure Bowen's facade was permanently replaced by his reality. Imposing the maximum possible term on each of the 28 counts and ordering them to run consecutively, the judge sentenced Bowen to 1,008 years in prison, also classifying him as a violent predator. A subsequent sentencing in Jefferson County added a further 20 years. His attempt to appeal was denied by the Alabama Supreme Court, and even from jail, he attempted to contact a victim, demonstrating an unrepentant danger. With a sentence spanning more than 10 centuries, Paul Bowen will die and be resurrected over 20 times before the state could ever legally release him. His permanent incarceration serves as the only fitting testament to the profound and lasting betrayal he inflicted upon the young lives entrusted to his care. Number 13. Darren Benelford Anderson. Darren Benelford Anderson is one of the few criminals in American history to receive a prison sentence so long that no human lifetime could ever reach the end of it. His crimes were cruel, violent, and deeply scarring, a night of terror that left an elderly woman forever changed. What happened led a jury in Oklahoma to give him one of the longest sentences the United States has ever recorded. In the winter of 1993, Anderson and 2 accomplices forced a woman's car off a highway in Tulsa County. Once they had her trapped, the ordeal began. She was kidnapped, robbed, assaulted, and taken first to a motel room and later to her own home. For hours, the woman was subjected to repeated assault and threats on her life. She survived, but the trauma she carried would last far beyond that night. Authorities eventually arrested Anderson, and the case moved to trial. A jury convicted him on multiple counts, including first-degree assault, kidnapping, robbery, burglary, and grand larceny. His first sentence was already massive, 2,200 years behind bars, a number designed to ensure he would never again walk free. But Anderson appealed, expecting leniency or reduction. What came instead was the opposite. A new trial was granted, and a second jury reviewed the brutality of the crime and the suffering of the victim. Their judgment was even harsher. In 1994, they sentenced Darren Benelford Anderson to 11,750 years in prison, a number so enormous it is nearly impossible to visualize. Even if a man were born, lived, died, and was somehow reborn more than 100 times, the term would still not be served. His sentence was a message, a declaration that some acts are so violent, so damaging, that society chooses to remove their perpetrators forever. Anderson will never leave prison. His name stands as a stark reminder of the weight of justice, the permanence of trauma, and the lives forever shaped by a night that lasted only hours, but cost a woman peace that can never be measured in years. Number 14. Charles Scott Robinson. Charles Scott Robinson was sentenced in December 1994 to 30,000 years in prison for 6 counts of assault against young individuals. The sentence, considered one of the longest in United States judicial history for this type of crime, was handed down by District Judge Dan Owens in Oklahoma City. Each of the 6 counts carried a 5,000-year sentence, which the judge ordered to run consecutively, totaling 30,000 years. The extraordinary length of the sentence was intended to ensure that Robinson would never be released, as Oklahoma law at the time did not allow life without parole for his specific charges. Jurors and the judge wanted to send a strong message that the crimes would not be tolerated and to account for fears of early release under the state's parole system. According to the Guinness World Records, this remains the longest jail term ever given to a single person in the United States on multiple counts. Robinson was found guilty of assaulting young individuals. While details regarding his initial apprehension are scarce, it is known that he had a prior history of non-violent felony convictions, including burglary and possession of a stolen vehicle. He is still alive and incarcerated, and under current rules, would not be eligible for parole until he is at least 108 years old. Number 15. The Madrid Bombing Architects. On the morning of March 11, 2004, 10 backpack bombs exploded across 4 commuter trains in Madrid, Spain, in a coordinated jihadist attack. The bombings murdered 191 people, wounded over 1,800, and left a permanent scar of trauma across the nation. 3 key figures in the plot, Othman El-Gnawi, Jamal Zugam, and Emilio Suarez Trachoras, were later given prison sentences spanning tens of thousands of years for their direct, hands-on roles in the atrocity. Othman El-Gnawi, a Moroccan national, served as the logistical linchpin and trusted lieutenant to the plot's operational leader. He transported the explosives from northern Spain to a safe house near Madrid, helped assemble the bombs, provided falsified documents, and personally planted at least one device on the trains. He was captured on March 31, 2004, after wiretaps from an unrelated investigation revealed his communications with the plotters. At trial, he was convicted on 191 counts of murder and approximately 1,800 counts of attempted murder, receiving a sentence of 42,924 years. Jamal Zugam, another Moroccan national, ran a mobile phone shop in Madrid and was a key operational architect. He supplied the mobile phones and SIM cards used as timers and detonators, purchased from his own shop, and also personally placed one of the bombs on a train. He was arrested just 2 days after the attacks when police traced an unexploded bomb's SIM card back to his business and found his fingerprint on the bag. Convicted on the same multitude of charges, he was sentenced to 42,922 years. Emilio Suarez Trachoras, a Spanish former miner, played a different but equally crucial role. Motivated by commerce, not ideology, he supplied the Goma 2 dynamite used in the bombs in exchange for hard substances and cash. His criminal record in explosives trafficking led investigators to him, and forensic evidence definitively matched the dynamite to the mine where he had worked. Arrested on March 18, 2004, he claimed ignorance of the plot's target, but the evidence was overwhelming. He was convicted and sentenced to 34,715 years. While Spanish law limits actual prison time to a maximum of 40 years, meaning each man will be imprisoned until at least the mid-2040s, the monumental, symbolic sentences stand as a permanent judicial ledger. They account, numerically, for every life taken and every life wounded. For Othman El-Gnawi, Jamal Zugam, and Emilio Suarez Trachoras, it means they will die and be resurrected before serving even a fraction of their nominal sentences, a lifetime of confinement as recompense for the thousands of lifetimes they helped destroy. Number 16. Efrain Sanchez. On an August night in 2022, inside the Rancho El Corazon bar in Greeley, Colorado, Efrain Sanchez felt a slight. He believed another patron had disrespected him. Consumed by rage, he left the establishment, armed himself with a rifle, masked his face, and returned to unleash his vengeance. He opened fire, sending 28 rounds toward people trapped inside and outside the bar. By sheer, fortunate chance, no one was murdered. 2 individuals were struck by bullets and survived their physical wounds. Every other person present that night was left with indelible psychological scars, enduring panic attacks, severe anxiety, and the permanent memory of the gunfire and terror. As the prosecutor later stated, it was only by the grace of God that no one was murdered. Sanchez fled into the night, but was not free for long. A meticulous investigation, piecing together bar surveillance footage, vehicle details, and the distinct clothing he wore, led police to his location. He was arrested without incident 2 weeks later, on August 27th. In April 2025, a jury found him guilty on 52 charges, including 50 counts of attempted first-degree murder. The weight of the evidence was incontrovertible. 2 months later, in June 2025, Weld County District Court Judge Vicente Vigil delivered the sentence. Noting that Sanchez's violent response was grossly disproportionate and that he remained a clear danger to the community, Judge Vigil structured a sentence meant to permanently remove that threat. Efrain Sanchez was sentenced to 1,016 years in the Colorado Department of Corrections. With a term stretching over a full millennium, he will die and be resurrected more than 20 times before the state could ever consider his release. His permanent incarceration stands as a final, resolute answer to the violence he brought to that community. Number 17. Richard Hiringa. In April 2012, Richard Hiringa was sentenced to 576 years to life in prison for assaulting a young individual in Colorado. Hiringa had been convicted on 17 counts of assault in April 2010, but he fled the state the night before the jury announced its guilty verdict. After spending 18 months on the run, the U.S. Marshals Service placed him on their 15 most wanted list in July 2011. Hiringa remained a fugitive until November 2011, when a viewer of the television show America's Most Wanted recognized him living in Detroit under the alias Tim Thurman and submitted a tip to authorities. Law enforcement confirmed the tip and arrested Hiringa without incident. He was then extradited back to Colorado to face sentencing. During the sentencing, Hiringa reportedly laughed as the court read his 576-year sentence aloud. His laughter revealed a shocking lack of remorse and a dismissive attitude toward the court, the gravity of his crimes, and the life sentence he was receiving. In response, the presiding judge, Paul King, sternly addressed Hiringa, saying, "If you're laughing now, stay tuned. You deserve every century that I'm going to give you." This tense moment highlighted Hiringa's indifference to justice and underscored the enormity of his sentence. Hiringa is now serving his 576-year sentence, ensuring he will spend the rest of his life in prison. His crimes and his courtroom defiance remain a permanent reminder of both the horrors he committed and the justice that finally caught him. Number 18. Joseph Baldino. In 2011, Joseph D. Baldino was sentenced to 525 years in prison for numerous charges related to illicit contents and online sexual solicitation in St. Lucie County, Florida. Baldino, born on September 19, 1980, engaged in repeated criminal activity involving young individuals communicating online with the intent to solicit intimate acts and transmitting explicit material. Baldino was apprehended after an undercover law enforcement operation led by a Chicago police officer posing as a mother, Pam. During online communications, Baldino, using the username Joey Baldino, discussed intimate encounters involving the supposed mother and her young daughter while transmitting explicit content. Detectives identified Baldino through a webcam photo he sent during the exchanges. Search warrants executed at Baldino's home in Port Street, Lucy, Florida, led to the seizure of 2 computers containing substantial amounts of illegal material. During a follow-up interview, Baldino admitted ownership of the computers and the contents therein. The investigation involved collaboration between the Chicago officer and the South Florida Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, along with local St. Lucie County authorities. Circuit Court Judge Dan L. Vaughn imposed a sentence of 525 years to reflect the extreme severity of Baldino's crimes and the number of victims affected. The sentence was intended to ensure Baldino would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Joseph D. Baldino remains incarcerated, his sentence serving as a permanent testament to the gravity of his offenses and the harm inflicted on the victims involved. Number 19. Shane Michael Emery. In August 2014, Shane Michael Emery was sentenced to 500 years in prison for numerous assault-related and illicit offenses. He was convicted in Eugene, Oregon, for the abuse and filming of 2 young individuals, one of whom was assaulted from a young age. The abuse occurred between June 2011 and April 2014. Emery pleaded guilty to 46 charges, including 24 counts of using explicit conduct, 10 counts of first-degree abuse. Lane County Circuit Court Judge Deborah Vogt imposed the exceptionally long sentence to reflect the heinous nature of the crime, calling the case the worst and most heinous she had encountered in her 20-year career as both a prosecutor and a judge. Prosecutors noted it was one of the longest, if not the longest, sentences ever handed down in Lane County history. Emery was discovered and arrested after the Albany Police Department found evidence of his involvement in child pornography during an unrelated investigation in April 2014. An investigation by Albany Police into an unrelated matter uncovered images implicating Emery. Albany Police shared this information and a search warrant with Eugene Police. Eugene Police investigators used this information to arrest Emery in April 2014. Evidence found in Emery's possession led to his conviction and also sparked a separate investigation into another individual, Brian Jeffrey Bowe, after a photo of him was discovered among Emery's materials. The identity of the victims' mothers has not been publicly released to protect the victims' privacy. One mother spoke at Emery's sentencing hearing, describing the repeated as torturings and asking the judge to impose a prison sentence that would show no compassion for Emery. Judge Deborah Vogt explained that the number here has to reflect what you've done, highlighting the severity and multitude of Emery's crimes. The length of the sentence was intended to ensure Emery would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Number 20. Richard Allen Minsky. In 1999, Richard Allen Minsky, a former used car salesman and registered serial offender, was arrested in Florida while attempting yet another one of his notorious scams. Minsky was infamous for a con game, where he posed as a lawyer to trick women into giving him money or engaging in sexual acts under the pretense of helping loved ones facing legal trouble. On September 15, 1999, Minsky targeted a woman in Plant City, Florida. Using his usual method, he whispered lies, pretending a loved one had been involved in a fatal hit-and-run and that she needed to help immediately. The woman became suspicious and contacted the police. Fortunately, law enforcement at Tampa International Airport had already been alerted through the airport law enforcement agency's network to watch for Minsky, whose method matched previous crimes. Police traced the call to a public payphone within the airport terminal. Less than an hour later, officers spotted Minsky in the concourse, trying to blend in with his head bowed and shoulders stooped. At 9:50 p.m., he was arrested on the spot. This capture marked the end of a criminal career that had made him a recurring figure on America's Most Wanted earlier that year. Police had even searched his abandoned apartment in Raleigh-Durham and discovered belongings and puppies left behind, the television still tuned to a channel airing the show. Minsky faced more than 80 counts across multiple states, including California, Florida, Georgia, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. The charges included assault, battery, extortion, grand theft, and even prison escape. After being extradited to California, he was tried and sentenced by Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Marcia Revel on November 30, 2001, to 146 years to life in prison. Judge Revel described his actions as just pure evilness and sadisticness. Minsky's appeal in 2003, which argued that the threat of jail time did not constitute duress for an assault conviction, was rejected by the court. Richard Allen Minsky, born on March 15, 1944, is now 81 years old and remains incarcerated at the California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo, California. At this rate, he would die, resurrect, and still not finish his sentence. The law ensures he will never walk free, a permanent reminder of the lives he manipulated and destroyed. Number 21. James Timothy McCarthy. In 2012, James Timothy McCarthy was arrested in California after being accused of numerous acts of exploitation against young individuals. The formal charges were filed on November 26, 2012, by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. The case involved multiple victims, including a girl referred to in court documents as Jane Doe and her younger brother, E. McCarthy's trial began in February 2013, and he was found guilty by a jury that same month. His crimes included continuous aggravated assault of individuals and forcible oral assaults. On March 19, 2013, McCarthy was sentenced to 32 years in prison, followed by 150 years to life, for a total effective sentence of 182 years to life. He is currently serving his sentence at the Correctional Training Facility in Soledad, California. Appeals of his convictions and restitution orders were affirmed by the California Court of Appeals in 2015 and 2016. The victims in this case were awarded both economic and non-economic restitution. Economic losses covered expenses such as counseling and other related costs. $7,366.50 was awarded to the California Victim Compensation Board, and $4,980 was awarded to the mother of the victims. For non-economic losses, which compensated for psychological harm, one victim received $1 million, structured as $100,000 per year for 10 years. The total known restitution amounted to over $1,012,346.50. The court noted that actual payment would depend on McCarthy's ability to pay, but the award ensured the victims received justice without having to file a separate civil lawsuit. James Timothy McCarthy's crimes left lasting scars on his victims, but the law responded with one of the longest sentences ever imposed for serial assault in California. Even if he lived and returned 5 times, the sentence guarantees he will never walk free, a permanent reminder of the suffering he caused. Number 22. Tyrone Lavono Williams. 46-year-old Tyrone Lavono Williams will spend the rest of his life behind bars for being a dangerous, repeat serial offender. In January 2021, he was sentenced to 480 years to life in prison after committing new crimes against 3 women, 2 of whom were in Tulare County, California. Williams' criminal history began in 1995 in Monterey County, when he was convicted of multiple assaults against a 16-year-old girl. He served 17 years in prison, and upon release, was required to register as a serial offender for life. After his release, Williams committed new crimes in Tulare County between 2014 and 2020. His victims included 2 young individuals and 1 adult woman. The first young victim suffered 3 counts of assault acts. The second endured 2 counts of assault acts, and the adult woman was attacked in Visalia at a public park on August 26, 2019. Law enforcement used DNA evidence and the adult victim's identification to link Williams to these crimes. He was arrested in April 2020 and charged with multiple felonies, including special allegations because he was a habitual serial offender. During his trial, Williams was found guilty on all counts. The evidence showed a man who repeatedly violated trust and posed a danger to the community. The court described his actions as deliberate and unrepentant. In January 2021, the Tulare County Superior Court judge sentenced Tyrone Lavono Williams to 480 years to life in prison. The sentence ensures that he will never be free again and that the public is protected from further harm. Tyrone Lavono Williams will spend the rest of his life in prison. Even if he somehow lived and returned 5 times, the law guarantees he will never walk free again, a permanent reminder of the consequences of repeated, violent crimes. Number 23. Darrell Brooks. 40-year-old Darrell Brooks will spend the rest of his life behind bars for one of the deadliest attacks in recent American history. On November 21, 2021, Brooks drove a red SUV through the Waukesha Christmas Parade in Wisconsin, murdering 6 people and injuring more than 60 others. The day began with Brooks involved in a domestic dispute with his ex-girlfriend. When police arrived, he ran from the scene in his vehicle, driving through barricades and into the parade at about 40 miles per hour. Witnesses said he zigzagged through the crowd, trying to hit as many people as possible. The 6 people who were murdered were Jackson Sparks, 8 years old, marching with his baseball team; Virginia Sorensen, 79, a member of the Dancing Grannies; Liana Owen, 71, Tamara Durand, 52, Jane Kulich, 52, and Wilhelm Hospel, 81. Brooks was arrested later that evening after asking to use a phone at a nearby home. His criminal history went back to 1999, including convictions for domestic violence, assault crimes, and firearms offenses. Just 2 days before the parade, he had been released from jail on a low bail of $1,000 after allegedly running over his ex-girlfriend with a vehicle. During his trial, which began in October 2022, Brooks chose to represent himself after his lawyers withdrew. The court sessions were marked by erratic behavior, arguments with Judge Jennifer Doro, and attempts to use unusual sovereign citizen legal arguments. Even though Brooks claimed the attack was an accident caused by his vehicle, the prosecution showed clear evidence that the attack was intentional. After 3 hours of jury deliberation on October 26, 2022, he was found guilty on all 76 counts, including 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. On November 16, 2022, Judge Doro sentenced Brooks to 6 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for the murder charges, plus an additional 762 years and 6 months for the other crimes, including reckless endangerment and hit-and-run deaths. Victims' families gave moving statements, and the judge said Brooks showed no real remorse, calling his actions bent on evil. Darrell Brooks will spend the rest of his life in prison. Even if he lived and returned 5 times, the law guarantees he will never walk free again. Number 24. The Ozer Siblings. In 2023, 3 members of the same family, 2 brothers and a sister, were given prison sentences totaling thousands of years for perpetrating one of the largest financial frauds in Turkish history. The case centered on Thodex, a cryptocurrency exchange that collapsed in a massive exit scam, wiping out the savings of hundreds of thousands of people. The founder and chief executive officer was Faruk Fatih Ozer. His brother, Guven Ozer, and his sister, Serap Ozer, held high-ranking executive roles within the company. In April 2021, Thodex suddenly shut down without warning. More than 400,000 users were locked out of their accounts, and approximately $2 billion in cryptocurrency assets vanished. The shutdown triggered panic, nationwide protests, and a sweeping police investigation. While the investigation unfolded, the siblings' paths diverged. Guven Ozer and Serap Ozer were arrested in Turkey in late April 2021, among the first suspects taken into custody. Faruk Fatih Ozer, however, had already fled the country with a vast portion of investor funds. A global manhunt followed, with Interpol issuing a red notice. Turkish intelligence tracked him across Albania for months before he was finally arrested in the coastal city of Vlorë in August 2022. After a lengthy extradition process, he was returned to Turkey in April 2023 to face trial alongside his siblings. All 3 were convicted of aggravated fraud, money laundering, and leading or participating in a criminal organization. Because Turkish law allows sentences to be stacked for each victim and each separate charge, The punishments were historic in scale. Farooq Fateh Ozer was sentenced to 11,196 years in prison. Guven Ozer and Serap Ozer each received sentences of 11,196 years, 10 months, and 15 days. Today, the Ozer siblings remain imprisoned, their sentences ensuring they will never be free again. The Thodex case stands as a landmark scandal in the world of cryptocurrency, a devastating scheme that shattered lives, erased fortunes, and left a permanent stain on Turkey's financial landscape. Number 25. Chamoy Thipyaso. In the 1980s, Chamoy Thipyaso, a seemingly reputable employee of the Petroleum Authority of Thailand, orchestrated one of the most audacious financial crimes in the nation's history. Operating a fraudulent investment fund named after herself, the May Chamoy Fund, she promised investors impossible returns of 6.5% per month, preying on trust and greed. The pyramid scheme ensnared over 16,000 people, including influential figures within the Thai military and royal circles, amassing an estimated $200 to $300 million. The scheme's inevitable collapse triggered a public outcry and a government crackdown. Thipyaso was arrested in the mid-1980s after failing to pay business taxes, and subsequent investigations revealed a hidden fortune of gold bars, jewelry, luxury cars, and cash secreted across the country. The scale of the deception was staggering, involving more than 4 billion baht from devastated victims. On July 27, 1989, the court delivered a verdict meant to symbolically match the enormity of the crime. Chamoy Thipyaso was sentenced to 141,078 years in prison, a world record sentence for fraud, later recognized by Guinness World Records. However, Thai law at the time capped actual prison time for such offenses at 20 years. After a further reduction, Thipyaso was released from prison having served only between 4 and 8 years. Though her personal punishment was cut short, her legacy was lasting. The scandal directly led to the creation of new Thai legislation, the Emergency Decree on Borrowings, which are regarded as public cheating and fraud, designed to prevent such vast financial exploitation in the future. The sentence, while largely symbolic, stands in the record books as a permanent numerical monument to a betrayal that shook a nation's trust. Thank you for watching. Check out these other interesting clips from the channel, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.